Galatians chapter 6 verse 1 says, "You who are spiritual." And we could view that as those who have their mind set on the things of the Spirit, or those who have the Spirit, or probably in the context, those who are walking by the Spirit. You who are spiritual. And he says, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. And gentleness is part of the fruit of the Spirit. If you're controlled by the Spirit, then you have gentleness. And if you're dealing with someone who's sinning, controlled by the flesh, trapped by the flesh, caught in a trespass, the idea of caught here is not, aha, I found you out. It's trapped, snared, snagged. If someone is caught, snared by their sin, we're to restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. This idea of doing good is associated with allowing the Spirit of God to work in our lives. When it's talking about doing good, it's you providing some benefit to another person. You don't do good to yourself. Now, you might do good in a way that nobody else knows that you're doing it, but if it's not benefiting another person, you really haven't done good, I don't think. Now, you can do good for the wrong reasons. When we think about serving God and doing good, it's better to do good than to do bad, no matter what your reasons are. It's better to obey for the wrong reasons than to disobey. And sometimes we disobey because we know our heart's wrong, and, well, I already got a bad heart, so no. There's degrees of heaping sin on sin, and we need to recognize that. We sometimes say all sin is equal. There is a component in which that is true. Whether you break the window with a BB gun or you break the window with an atomic bomb, the window is broke. And so if you think of God's righteousness and all of God's righteous commands being links in a chain, all you got to do is break one link and the chain is broken. But the significance and the consequences of sin is not all the same. If a husband has an immoral thought, that's a sin. If he acts on that immoral thought, that's an additional sin for which there is much greater consequence. If I become angry, that's a sin. It breaks the chain. If I become angry and control myself and have no outward manifestation of that anger, it's still sin. If I become angry and I become verbally abusive to someone, that's an additional sin. If I punched them, that's another sin. And the consequences of the sin varies. And the heaping of sin on sin then gives birth to other sins too. Although sin is sin, and there's a sense in which we are right to say all sin is sin, it's also right to say there is a difference and distinctions between sins. Not all sin has the same consequence. As we look here, and it talks about doing good, the doing good involves spirit. The first part there in verses 1 to 5